Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Singaporean Talks Money. So today I'm going to talk about whether having cash, is it really useless now to hold on to cash? So no one holds cash nowadays. It is either in the stock market or in cryptocurrencies. This is something that I feel like I've heard a lot in a lot of YouTube videos that I've seen, because they talk about the printing of money by the Fed and also about putting the stimulus money into the stock market because they believe that inflation will happen. I think the overall notion is that since cash can be so easily printed, why hold on to it as its value will fall over time? So instead, we can use the cash to buy assets or items that will be worth more in the future. That is also why a lot of people love buying real estate. So explaining as well on the overheated property market in Singapore. And a lot of my friends have been entering the stock market since late last year. And previously I used to be one of the few that were investing. And with the entry of Tiger Brokers and Mumu and the stock market run up, many of my friends have chosen to put their cash into the stock market. So for me, I would feel that cash is still king to a certain extent because I do feel secure holding at least 6 months of my salary. And if I can, I would love to build it up more over time, as definitely there will be other payments or dependents as I grow older. And cash is definitely still king as it is still our main mode of payment. However, in terms of value appreciation or growth, cash is definitely not king. And for many of the older generations, cash is and will always be king because from a young age, cold hard cash was what paid their bills. For example, my mom, I believe that to her cash is definitely the essential, and she has to hold on to a substantial amount of cash to feel secure. And so she does not do any investments, and at most she only does a savings plan to make sure that her money grow at a low rate of return. So I came across this video recently on YouTube called Are We Ready for the Next Crisis? And it is by DW documentary. And in the video they were asking many people on how cash comes about. And most of them were actually not very aware of how cash came about, with some of them saying that it comes from the bank, or when we work we receive it, that's how cash comes about. And in a way they are right, but how does cash or money really come about? So definitely a rough overview is that in the early times there was no such thing as money, but things were exchanged. For example, if you grew vegetables, you could exchange it for some meat by sharing your crops. And as time went by, IOU was also issued if you were not able to pay, and that was when debt was also created. And then we move on to a time when money was in the form of metal or pebbles, where there is some form of unique characteristics to be found for money to make it not easily replicable, and at the same time something that was recognizable. And eventually societies moved away from using precious metals to make money. So known as representative money, the new paper bills and coins made of non-precious metals represented certain values that everyone in those society could agree upon. And then government or banks would promise to exchange representative money for a specific amount of silver or gold. Instead, today's money is known as fiat money. So, and this today's modern currency is actually not backed by any amount of silver or gold, and it has a certain value today because it was given that value by the government's fiat or decree. So that is definitely a very brief overall of how money came about. If you'd like to find out more, definitely you can find out a lot of other resources out there. So money today has a certain value because the value is given by the government, and I believe Bitcoin was created in response to the great financial crisis, where Satoshi Nakamoto wanted to create a peer-to-peer payment system that did not require a third-party confirmation. And it is a shared currency where there is no exchanges required. So this means that banks would not be involved in these equations. And it is a very simple idea actually, to eliminate the middle or third party to optimize the whole process of payment. And many people who invested in cryptocurrencies early on understand that this concept is here to stay, because it is something that made sense, which is to remove the administrative fees or commissions and yet have everything still being processed and have a transaction record through blockchain. So definitely cryptocurrencies do face regulatory problems. And there's one very famous sentence that SEC Hester Piercer mentioned. She said, "You have to shut down the internet in order to ban Bitcoin." And even though the government want to have a way to regulate cryptocurrencies, it is really quite difficult to do so when it is all on the internet, and internet is definitely readily available in developed countries. And so definitely in a way also, government can still implement policies to ban them. For example, in India and Turkey, where the Turkey Central Bank banned the use of cryptocurrencies and crypto assets for purchases because they cited possible irreparable damages and transactional risks. And in Turkey, they have been facing many controversies with the cryptocurrency exchanges, where the owner escaped with people's money that has been used to buy cryptocurrencies and stored on the exchange. So this is definitely not due to the cryptocurrencies themselves, but the people who are managing the exchanges. So this can in turn accumulate and make the governments really step in if needed. So my concluding statement is that I still feel that you should have sufficient cash on hand, and that cash is definitely not useless yet. So for now, cash is important to a certain extent in our asset allocation, because it is our main mode of exchange to obtain goods. Definitely we do not know in the near or far future on how cash or money will be redefined. The world is evolving at a rapid pace, and everyone will have to adapt to the changes as it comes along. Just like how jobs could be made redundant in a matter of years, cash or our own currencies might just change as well. Or maybe things will just remain the same for a long time. We never know. I mean, in 2021, we were all expecting flying cars, right? So building up on cash is still the priority. So always remember to have an emergency fund or buffer to make sure you do not have to liquidate your investments to make payment. And do not get into investments that promise huge growth in a short period of time, because don't use your emergency funds. You have to make sure that you are investing with money that you are okay to lose, right? So I hope you guys enjoy today's video, and as usual, do subscribe and hit the like button. Thank you.